Welcome to episode number 50 of the Between Two Brands podcast. That's episode 50 if you're keeping score at home. I am your host, Bill Petrie. It is the day after Christmas as this is released. It's not the day after Christmas as I'm recording, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I hope you and your family, if you celebrate Christmas, I hope you had a great, fabulous celebration. If you have celebrated Hanukkah, if you celebrated Kwanzaa, whatever it is you celebrate with your loved ones, I hope it's absolutely phenomenal. I think we got a fun show for you today. I think it's a great way to unwind after some nice football, some nice meals, some time with family. So let's get to it, shall we? Hey, before we do, hey, distributors, it's time to wake up. Your clients are no longer satisfied with you merely acting as a middleman, slapping their logo on generic, predictable, and frankly uninspiring products. What they're demanding is something a heck of a lot more, and that's merchandise that feels as if it were thoughtfully curated just for their unique brand. To stand out, your clients need something exceptional, products that truly reflect their identity and set them apart from the crowd. And that's where our friend Russ Mogel and his team over at Seventh Sourcing come in with over 30 years of direct custom sourcing experience. They are the clear leaders in the space. Now, here's just a few reasons why you'd want to partner with Russ and his team. One, they have established relationships with fully vetted and trusted factories. Number two, they ensure that all merchandise passes a rigorous quality control check by an accredited third-party partner. Three, they comply with and frequently exceed industry standards, manufacturing requirements, and product safety regulations. And they manage every part of the logistics and communicate through every single step of the process. In other words, with their expertise, they know how to deliver bespoke merchandise that will position you as the distributor hero in the eyes of the client, while also steering clear of those common pitfalls that come with managing it on your own. Now, to be clear, yeah, it does take a little bit more time, 75 to 90 days usually, to design, develop, and deliver truly unique and original merchandise. But isn't that extra planning worth it to craft exceptional products that foster lasting loyalty? I sure as heck think so. Now, when you're ready to elevate yourself from just another promotional products distributor to a true partner who delivers exactly what clients crave, unique, custom branded merchandise designed specifically for them, reach out to Russ and his team at sales@sevensourcing.com. So I mentioned earlier that I am recording this not the day after Christmas, not the week of Christmas. It is Monday, December the 15th, as I record this. And I'm wondering if you guys are experiencing the same kind of phenomenon I am, that I feel I am hurtling toward the holidays. As a solopreneur, I do everything I can to shut down for a good week between Christmas and New Year's. And that's a good thing to do, to reset like that. But the challenge is the marketing I do for my clients, that doesn't stop. That needs to continue. And so for me to take that time off, I have to get things done. For example, I have to get everything done this for this year through the week of January the 5th. If I don't want to work the week of Christmas and the week of, between Christmas and New Year's. That's a lot. And then you add in the fact I had one of my sons graduate from college on, I don't know, last week, 3, 4 days ago. And then now coming up in a few days, I'm moving him with my wife. We're moving him to Dallas to start his job as a project engineer. So a lot going on. Meanwhile, the holidays are fast approaching, and I find it so interesting. Every year, I think I've planned it, I've done exactly what I need to do, and I'm going to ease into the holidays. And every year, it seems like the velocity is just accelerating at a pace I can't control. I'm able to control it, but boy, there are some moments where you feel like, wow, I feel like every time I knock something off my to-do list, two more things pop up. And I'm wondering if you guys felt that the weeks leading up to the holidays like I have. And I also wonder how you manage it. I'll tell you how I manage it. I think everybody knows I manage everything by my calendar. And so and when I have to give marketing assets to clients every week, it's in a color coded block on my calendar every week. So what I've been doing is going weeks ahead, knocking those out, sending those to clients, and hopefully getting those approved and scheduled so that pretty much for about a week, week and a half, most things can be on autopilot and I can take a breath, relax, enjoy time with my family, and get ready for what I think is going to be an exceptional 2026. So it's a short little preamble this morning, short little opening shot. So be it. We're trying to get things done over here. I got a lot of podcasts to record between now and Expo. So bear with me. Now, before we get to my guest, and I love my guest today, he is truly a great friend and someone who has truly inspired me for years. And I think he'll inspire you as well. Before we do, let's go ahead and pay the rent, shall we? Many people know how to build a business, but few understand not only when to sell that business, but the process involved to ensure that you find the right partner to maximize the return on your investment. Honestly, you need an expert, especially one in the promotional products industry, to help you, which is where our good friends over at Certified Marketing Consultants come in. Now, Jamie Watson and her team have decades of experience facilitating private company sales in the branded merchandise space. Now, to help you evaluate if it's time to sell your business, reach out to CMC at info@certifiedmarketing.com for a confidential discussion today. And heck, you're going to be in Las Vegas for PPI Expo? Let Jamie know. She'll probably have time to meet with you as well. All right, that's the opening shot for this week. Let's go ahead and bring on our guest. My guest today doesn't really need an introduction, but I feel like wasting your time, his time, and my time. So let's go ahead and do that. During the last 20 years, my guest has spoken to audiences on every inhabited continent. His clients include Fortune 50 companies such as Microsoft, AT&T, Fannie Mae, State Farm, and even the National Apartment Association. Let's go a little further, shall we? How about the Home Care Association of America, the Australian government, which sounds very, very, very serious to me, the American Cancer Society, the Entrepreneurs Association, Young Presidents Association or organization, and all branches of the United States military. He also has a doctorate of management degree in organizational leadership, as well as a graduate degree in psychology. He's also the author of 4 really great books: The 4 Factors of Effective Leadership, The Freak Factor for Kids, and one of my favorites, Pink Goldfish, co-authored with our mutual friend, Stan Phelps. Now, prior to becoming a certified speaking professional, he was a leadership professor, stand-up comedian, and my favorite, a nonprofit executive that provided employment for people with disabilities. Absolutely love that. In between presentations and traveling the globe, David's known to compete in ultra marathons, Ironman triathlons. He's also very recently an avid golfer, and he will play golf regardless of the weather, regardless of rain, sleet, snow, hail. Doesn't matter. He's going to get out there. And if you follow him on social media, you know he does that all the time. He's also an avid Packers fan, probably a little salty about that Micah Parsons injury yesterday. That looked bad. That looked bad. Please join me in welcoming my friend, one and only David Rendall. David, so much gratitude on this end for you to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Stan and I wrote Pink Goldfish together, Stan Phelps and I, and now we've been golfing a lot together. So we're the ones out there in the bad weather. Hopefully, we'll do that again tomorrow when it gets up into the 40s. So,
We had a technical glitch earlier, and when we're both in the South, golf weather is anything above about 35 or 40. You can squeeze it in. You can
yeah, I
squeeze
was
it in.
out. I
All
had to
right.
wait a while the other day for a frost delay. So, yeah, I've been pushing the boundaries.
Well, there you go. Well, you and I first met about 10 years ago, and we were both speaking at the High Five Conference in Raleigh, North Carolina. Now, to be very clear, David was the keynote, and they hid me much like a light under a bushel in a corner room with very questionable signage. And I don't think many people saw me, but that's okay. I spoke outside the industry, and that was the important thing. Before I get to other things, I really would love to hear your journey from professor and nonprofit executive to author and renowned speaker. What made you go all in on speaking as a profession?
Pays a lot better. Um, and I enjoy it a lot more. I didn't like, for example, the politics of education. I didn't like grading people's papers. I didn't like having arguments with people about how smart they were or weren't, or what grade they did or didn't deserve. And speaking is the best parts of teaching, helping, supporting, encouraging. Somebody just sent me an email about reading my book and sent me, even posted online a passage that was really helpful to them. Um, I'm still having an impact. I'm having an impact on more people. Also, reach, right? I can reach more people. As a speaker, I just got back from Tunisia a couple months ago. I've spoken all over the world, as you mentioned, and I don't get to teach all over the world. I'm at a college, and there's those people, and maybe some of them come from other places, but it's a reach thing as well. Um, and yeah, so that's why I did it, and it was working, right? I mean, it was. People liked it. That's really how I made the transition. I just kept getting opportunities, and when I would do them, like the High Five conference, it would lead to something, and that would lead to something, and that would lead to something. And pretty soon there were so many somethings I couldn't teach and speak, and so it was an easy choice to go with the speaking.
And I assume your family was all in on this career transition as well.
Well, at that point, I didn't make it hard on them. I took a quiz one time, and I think this is relevant to making the transition. There was like an entrepreneurs magazine back when there were magazines, at my father-in-law's house, and I was reading it. It was like a quiz. Are you an entrepreneur? And it was like, are you willing to take out a second mortgage? Are you willing to max out all your credit cards? Are you willing to spend your entire life savings? And I was like, no, 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 no. And then it's like, you're not an entrepreneur. And so I was like, okay, I'm not an entrepreneur. But my business isn't really like that. Speaking isn't really like that. I'm not buying $100,000 in materials and hoping they sell, but they're all going to go bad in a year if I can't get rid of them. And I have a high cost of goods sold and all these kinds of things. I get paid for my time. So even if somebody did rip me off, all I did was lose my time and travel to some place. And so by building the business on the side of teaching, which I recommend, testing things out in a small way before making the leap, the business was 80% of the my income when I quit. So it wasn't like my family was like, maybe we won't get to eat anymore, or dad's really risking it all, or we might lose the house. It was the opposite. If I would have quit the business and stuck to teaching, we would have been in dire financial circumstances. So it was a little less of a leap for me than it might be for some other kinds of business.
Yeah, I started my business, Brand of Eight, in July of 2020. Not the greatest time to really
Mm,
start a marketing and
yeah,
branding business. And I
yeah,
had two kids in college, and so I always like asking that of people who basically
yeah.
bet on themselves. The importance of having the support. But I know you had that. What advice would you give to someone who's going to be speaking for the first time? I do a lot of speaking, not nearly as much as you, and not nearly as exotic of places as you do. But
Yeah.
what advice would you give someone stepping on that stage for the first time?
That's easy to answer. And Stan and I are actually working on a new book on that exact subject. So I do a lot of training on coaching on this these days. And I have a simple phrase, which is one of the pieces of advice. Have a simple phrase that summarizes your entire talk. So I can do 2 days on this phrase. Persuasive speakers tell powerful stories that reinforce a single idea. So the biggest part of starting that is telling stories. Don't get up there with bullets. Don't get up there with nuggets. Don't get up there with advice. And don't get up there a single idea. Don't get up there with 50 things. I can do 2 days on persuasive speakers tell powerful stories that reinforce a single idea, and I can reinforce that single idea in different ways throughout the entire 2 days. So don't tell me I've got 45 minutes, I got a lot to cover, or whatever that is. And then the other big one is stories. So people go, point number one is this, point number two is this. Another thing you should do, and here's some other advice that I have. Nobody can process that. How did you come to that advice? How did you get to that? Point? How did you learn that lesson? What's going to happen if they don't? What's going to happen if they do? Tell stories and give examples. People pay attention to that. So I think most of the speakers I see aren't as good as they could be because they're focused on too many ideas, and they don't tell interesting stories or really stories at all. Most stories are sort of interesting in and of themselves, and that keeps them from being as effective as they could be.
One of the things I learned from you watching you at High Five, because I was captivated, you're just amazing, was you had almost no words on your
Right,
PowerPoint.
right.
And it's something I've absolutely stolen unabashedly
Yeah,
because I know people can't read and listen at the same time. It's just impossible.
yeah,
And it's really been helpful for me in my speaking. And it's made me more confident that, hey, these people, I need to be good. They're listening to
yeah.
me, and it helps me be a better storyteller. So I love that.
Well,
One of the tenets you said,
let's explain
yeah,
that for just a
okay,
second. I mean,
yeah,
that's just simple, neuroscience, but not complicated neuroscience. If you've got
yeah,
words on the screen and you're saying words out of your mouth, people have to decide. Their brain has to pick one. And if they're reading, they can't listen. If they're
Right.
listening, they can't read. I mean, it's that simple. Some people might say, I could do two things at once. Yeah, you can do ride a bike and chew gum, or you can listen to a podcast and drive your car, but you can't read and listen to two different, conflicting things at the same time. So people have to choose. And then once they choose, they're doing something other than what you're promoting because you got something up there and you're saying something simultaneously. So really the pictures or the slides should just be the video is what I tell people that goes with the narration that you're doing. But when it is words that it's not a preference. It just simply doesn't work and it distracts. So somebody starts really reading your really interesting slide. Well, great, but now they're not listening to your speech. That's an email, that's a book, that's a newsletter, that's a something, right? And so pick a picture, pick a photo, but that's also goes back to the single idea thing. People have too many ideas they're trying to share, too much information they're trying to get across. And so they're piling it on the screen, thinking somehow it's going to get out there. That's the biggest lesson I've probably learned in 20 years of speaking is I keep trying to do less and less while I'm on stage for an hour than I used to, because that's all people really have the ability to sort of take in.
I love that. And the other thing is, I think when people have words as a speaker, when you have words on the screen, you have this horrible tendency to read them.
Yeah,
And it is mind, you lose your audience so quickly when you start reading things that are on the screen.
yeah, yeah, agreed.
So one of the tenets you've built your writing and your speaking career on is your weakness is your superpower. You encourage people to lean into their flaws, so
Yeah.
to speak. That's something that's always resonated with me. Where did you come up with that?
Just personal experience. I mean, I'd like to pretend like I, had this massive insight one day, or I'm a really good marketer and I looked at the trends and found what people needed to hear, but it was really just my own experience. I mean, I was in trouble a lot. I mean, I even have, they call it now having the receipts. I mean, right behind me is a storage closet, an attic at our house. And my mom gave me my report cards when I was younger. This isn't imagined. This isn't made up. This isn't exaggerated. It's a bunch of Dave talks too much. Dave needs to sit still. Dave's rebellious. Dave doesn't listen. Dave, could be successful if he would just turn it around. And then at some point in my adult life, I was helping out with the chamber and I was on the board and I was, they make you stand up and do a little intro at the beginning of the banquet and I'm making people laugh and they're having fun and I'm having fun. And I'm like, wait a second, people told me my whole life that success came once I would sit still, be quiet, to do what I was told, and success would never come if I didn't learn to sit still, be quiet, and do what I'm told. And here I am standing up and talking and doing my own thing and taking charge of the situation. And I'm happy and they're happy, right? And that was really the beginning of it. I just asked a question. I wonder if my biggest weakness is also a strength, singular, right? I wonder if
Mhm.
the worst thing about me is the best thing about me. But it turns out there's a bunch of bad things about me, and they're all connected to a bunch of good things about me. So our weaknesses are also strengths, not just a singular, worst one or best one or whatever.
Right,
And then I just started, once you have the idea, it's like buying a Camry and you start to see Camrys. Buying the Tesla, all of a sudden everybody's driving a Tesla. Um,
right.
and once I had that idea, I mean, I just started finding story after story after story, example after example after example, started sharing that in speeches, got amazing responses from people. People would say the basic ideas, they'd say, I've never heard that before, and yet it made perfect sense as soon as you said it, right? So
Yeah.
surprising idea, but not one that you had to work too hard to sell me on, or you did sort of sell it effectively. And then I created an assessment where people can find out how their weaknesses are linked to strengths, how there's 52 pairs. And people started taking that, and it sort of answered the question that people would ask, which is, "What's good about this bad thing about me?" And so, yeah, but it was just a personal journey, and it's a personal journey that I'm still on, continuing to discover, those weaknesses that are also strengths, continuing to learn about myself and learn about other people.
I think also those weaknesses also allow us to actually be unique. It's the one thing we have that lets us stand apart from everything else.
Right, right,
When you look at you're a public speaker, there are
yeah,
thousands of public speakers. What makes you you? It's the
yeah,
fact that you dress the way you do, you speak the way you do,
yeah,
warts and all. Same thing
yeah.
with any sort of branding. So I absolutely love that. You deeply, and if you're watching this on video, you can see his professional looking podcast studio as opposed to my low rent one here in my house. he deeply identifies with the color pink, and it's
Yeah.
from the clothes you everything.
Yeah.
Even one of your books, Pink Goldfish with Stan Phelps, has pink in
Yeah.
it. What is it
Yeah.
about the color that
Yeah.
helps you convey your message?
Well, like you said, part of it is stand out, right? So, and people argue, color, gender doesn't have a color and whatever, and they're right about that. But it does, right? Like it doesn't, but people think it does, right? So when you go to the gender reveal, it's pink for girls, it's blue for boys. So the most unusual thing that I could do from a color standpoint was choose a non-man's color for a man, right? And so
Intentional.
if I'm gonna teach people to be unique and stand out, I feel like I have to practice what I'm preaching, right? If I'm gonna teach people that their weaknesses are strengths and don't try to fix them, flaunt them, I have to be not trying to fix them and I have to be flaunting them. So part of it is practice what you preach. The way I chose pink was I have three daughters and I would tell jokes in my speeches about how they were slowly but consistently turning me into a woman with nail painting sessions and eyebrow management instructions and things like that. And so that was just again an authentic choice for me, right? It wasn't a show, it wasn't a gimmick, it wasn't kind of like the freak factor. It wasn't me picking something as much as something picked me, and I was representing who I was. And so that's where it came from. And again, I think just like the business, it started small. I wore some pink shoes. Right over there, I have, now I know how many I have because I have them in cubes. But
Yeah,
I have,
you just got some new cubes for your shoes,
yeah,
did you
I got
not?
22 pairs of pink shoes, and I probably have more, but those are the ones I'm displaying. But I just wore some pink shoes, and you would have thought I was walking out there in my underwear. Oh my gosh, pink shoes. And for a long time, it was hard to find for men. I was
Right.
mostly wearing indoor soccer shoes, was the early, this is before you could, 20 years ago, before you could customize your own shoes and make your own shoes. And they just weren't selling pink shoes for men. I mean, it was just like, why would anybody want that? And so it got people's attention. Then I started wearing some pink socks. Then I got some pink pants. Then I got a pink shirt. And now I have a pink car and I have pink headphones and I have a pink background and I have a pink book and I have pink tattoos. So I think that's another good lesson with branding and stuff like that is pick something authentic, pick something that means something to you, not, oh, I think this is the color that people like, or oh, this is a thing that I think people want and it's completely foreign to you or disconnected from you. But also start small. I mean, maybe it's not a good idea, maybe it is a good idea, see where it goes. But I mean, now I even have these cool things where I can put different
Oh
colors on
yeah.
the front of my glasses. um and I took this serious today. I'm like, okay, I'm going to wear this pink shirt. What's a pink hat that matches? Because you find out there's 80 different colors of pink. So
Right.
yeah, that was the process. And now it's even like you said, my Ironmans, it's behind me on my Ironman bike. And that's a funny promotional product story, a little bit of advertisement for Bill here. You can only write it off if it's a legit promotional product. So my
Right.
accountant calls me one year and they're like, they look at my credit card statements, and most of it makes sense. But sometimes they're like, what's this? And what was this for? And how do I categorize this? So I go, oh, and that's actually from High Five. I would buy these socks from Freaker USA because my book is The Freak Factor. Freaker USA is this cool company in Wilmington, North Carolina. So they're local. Freaker, Freak. I'm like, I found out about them. I started buying their socks. I buy the pink ones. So they go and they're fun. Like it says Dalai Lama and it's like Dolly Parton on the top and a llama on the bottom on the socks and whatever. So I'm thinking this is a legit business expense. I'm only buying these socks because I'm the Freak Factor guy. I'm the pink guy. It's my brand, right? And I tell the lady with no shame, those promotional products, pink, it's my work uniform.
Right.
She goes, no. If it doesn't have your name on it, it doesn't count. It doesn't have your company name or your logo, it doesn't count. I go, fine. I go, and then there was something I didn't try to write off, which is that my triathlon bike is pink and I had it specially painted pink and it has my logo and it says Freak on it and it says the Freak Factory. I go, fine. I got a $400 paint job on my triathlon bike that is not intended to promote my business at all. It's because I genuinely love it. She's like, perfect. Send me the receipts. 400. So instead of writing off $6 worth of socks, I got to write out $400 worth of, but that's how far it's gone. It's on my car. It's on my bike. You can see it on the helmet. I have a bobblehead that somebody made of me that's pink. So everything is pink now. And it's just become part of my identity to the point that I just emceed in the same room at the Beverly Hilton where they do the Golden Globes. And I got to MC a very fancy, very classy event, classier than me. And I wore, just a traditional tuxedo, black tie, black tuxedo. I have a pink tux. I deliberately didn't wear it for this. And people were like, why didn't you get a pink tux? I'm like, the wildest thing that I could do in that situation was wear a regular tux because it goes against everybody's expectations of me, right? Wearing a pink suit would have been the most predictable thing I could have done. And
Right.
so that's how much it's become part of my identity that I get in trouble if somebody spots me in public without enough, whatever the definition of that is, pink on, even though
Right.
my car's pink and everything else is pink.
Well, and it's gotten to the point, and again, I've known you almost 10 years. Now that anytime I see pink, I think, I wonder if he's seen this. And most of the time, like, yeah, he's probably seen this.
People send me stuff from all over the world. I mean, I've spoken, like we said, all over the world.
Yeah.
People send me, I'm behind this pink car in Pakistan, and I'm in India and saw, look at this person wearing this pink outfit. That was actually good when I was in Amsterdam, in Keukenhof is what it's called. It's where they show all the tulips. It's like a world famous
Mhm.
thing. And this little tiny Indian lady came up to me I thought she was asking me to take a photo of her family. Like some people would be like, "Can you get a photo of
Right.
us?" But she wanted a picture with me because I was wearing pink pants and all this pink shoes, and she had a full on pink outfit on. But she was about 4 feet tall, and I'm 6'6", and she just you've never. She's at a world famous destination. And she could not have been more excited to discover a gigantic guy, wearing pink. So yeah, it's become a total thing.
You said it yourself, it's a power branding,
Yeah.
100%. Because
Yeah.
I think
I mean, and
pink, I mean,
people,
Dave.
I mean, a guy saw me at the airport. He's coming down the stairs from the Sky Club, and he just basically, he actually sounded inappropriate. He goes, "That pink, all that pink that you're wearing gives me pleasure," he said. But it has an interesting, I think
As
people
a,
want to see somebody being authentic. I think they want to see somebody being themselves. I think it encourages them that maybe they could. But I don't know. I think there might also be something about pink, and I haven't done a huge study. I've read a book about it, and I've written about it, and I've studied a little bit. But a sales guy once told me that politicians and leaders are encouraged to wear dark blue and dark red. They're called power colors. And what he
right.
told me was pink and lavender. If you are a man, if you're a large, imposing person, pink and lavender communicate approachability in a way. And so I think there's
Absolutely.
something about it that sort of softens because I'm 6'6". I'm a big, tall guy. And it makes me approachable maybe in a way that, other kinds of things wouldn't.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Now, most, as you mentioned earlier, most of this audience is from the world of branded merchandise,
Yeah.
promotional products. From the perspective of differentiation, which is what I really associate what your message
Yeah.
is, the
Yeah.
importance of differentiation and using weakness as a strength. How do you see promotional products playing a role in helping organizations accomplish that?
Well, I think it's your chance to make your brand real in some way to them, right? Like one year, um, my gift to anybody who hired me to speak, and they didn't know this when they booked me, I was like, if you book me, I'll send you shoes. But I would just get my assistant to ask them their shoe size, and then I would send them some
Right.
cool pink shoes. The next year, and I actually recommend this next approach because that's kind of like sending somebody something with your logo on it. A lot of people loved it. The
Right.
next year, what I did was send me your shoe size and your favorite sports team,
Mhm.
and I would pick two of those colors and put it on some Nikes, right? Some like Air Force Ones. Um, and so I think that's my advice is find a way to combine your brand with something that people actually care about. So I hate the hey, we put a tote bag with our logo on it, gave it to everybody. What I always tell people, if there are 500 people at the conference, set up a booth with an embroidery machine and embroider whatever people want on a really nice bag that somebody would actually use that they'll keep after you're gone that doesn't have your logo at all, or it has it on there somewhere but in an unobtrusive way, and the real show is what they care about, right?
It's
So I'll
nice and
give you
subtle. And yeah.
yeah, I'll give you a good one that just happened. Because I go to conferences basically for a living, and I rarely see something that people would really benefit from or enjoy or whatever. And I think there's too much copying. So I think that's the other message is don't look around and go, they're giving away an iPad, we'll give away an iPad. They're doing, there was a time where almost everybody's giving away the AirPods and then everybody's giving away. And so nobody cares and nobody remembers it was you, right? So the event I just did, like I said, it was at the Beverly Hilton, very high class thing, red carpet. And what one of the sponsors did is they did, what did they call it? They called it like an exclusive gifting experience or something. And you went
Hmm.
in there and they had really high end, like Versace sunglasses and stuff like that, all these different brands for men and women. And you'd go in there and you'd get fitted and you'd walk out with these really expensive, really nice sunglasses, not with the company's logo across the eyeball or something. The company's logo wasn't on it. What you were going to remember is this company gave me something really cool that I'm actually going to use precisely because it doesn't have the company's sort of logo on it the whole time. So I think you have to ask that. What are people going to use? What do people like? Um, you said I'm golfing more. My accounting company invited me to an event and they gave everybody logoed golf balls, and I used those golf balls because I'm a golfer.
Right.
But the mistake some people make is they buy garbage golf balls to make up for the fact that they're going to put their logo on them and that costs extra money instead of asking like what's the most common golf ball or what's
Right.
an above average golf ball or what's a quality golf ball or what's a recognizable golf ball or what's a golf ball that even if that person is really particular and they won't play that person would give away to somebody else because they're like, hey, I got these really cool Callaway Chrome Tours. I don't play that ball, but I know my buddy, Stan does. And
Yeah.
so I'm going to give them to him. So I think my advice is invest more in something that's high quality and that's genuinely useful instead of investing it in more quantity and then lower value and almost disposable. And I think
Yeah.
and also try to find something unique to your clients, to your group. Dell did a really good one of my favorites because it kind of fit because they're selling them to business people and office people and people that travel. They had a really nice like mini like tackle box, with and tackle box is an exaggeration, but a little mini organizer, mini stapler, a couple of mini binder clips, paper clips, a little thing of tape. It was something you could throw in your bag and potentially have for the next 7 years. Every time you need that little office supply and you're in a hotel or you're working away from home or whatever, that's great. Something that represents them. It's an officey thing. It's a businessy thing, but it's useful. So those are the kinds of things that I try to think about. And that, like I said, I've even done some of this, like I said, with gifting of not like, here's a polo with my logo
Right.
on it.
Because
Nobody
who's going to
wants a
wear a
polo with
polo with
my,
your logo on it?
that's exactly right. Interesting fact, and you can't see it real great, but it's behind me there. My Freak Factor logo is one F with another F upside down, kind of interlocked with it. I was
Right.
watching the Fantastic Four movie the other day, and that's their logo. Now that's a new movie, so it's clear I didn't steal it. They stole it from me. In fact, there probably going to have to be a lawsuit between me and
That's
the
just,
Marvel. Is that Marvel or DC? But
yeah,
anyway,
I think
uh,
that's Marvel. I think that's
yeah.
Marvel.
But
It
yeah,
sounds
they
like there's
don't.
some litigation
Yeah.
about to happen.
So I think that's again, think beyond the logo. Like my pink is bigger than the logo, right? Pink is
Yeah,
just me and
that's really
anything
your
that's
brand.
that's pink. Yeah. So I think thinking about that is trying to create what kind of idea do we want people to have in their mind? And then how do we have a product that represents that, not necessarily just punches people in the face with
Yeah.
this is ours. You want it to somehow become theirs. And I think that's the transition that most products don't make it past.
I love what you said there about, some quality over quantity, because one of the big buzzwords in the promotional products industry is let's make it sustainable and sustainable.
Mm.
Sustainable doesn't
That's another
necessarily
one. When you're
have to
making
be
a bunch of crap, yeah, that are you just contributing to pollution and trash and right? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, we
yeah,
call it brand fill. It's
yeah.
stuff people throw
Oh,
away.
very
Yeah,
clever.
that's a Danny Rosen special,
I
Danny.
love it. I love it.
And so, one of the things that we try to tell clients as distributors, I'm not a distributor, I'm a service provider, but what we tell people is, look, you want something sustainable, that means it's going to be used, it's going to be kept, it's going to be part of their daily like.
Yeah.
So even though it might be a $35 tumbler that's reusable, that is sustainable. It's not
Yeah.
because it's made out of eco-friendly products, but it's something that people are going to use. I love that.
Yeah,
Last
that's a good
question. I
example
want,
because I got one
yeah,
recently and I didn't keep it. And they're not really for me. Like when I'm the speaker, it's sort of
right.
like in the box, but they're not trying to get me as a client or whatever. But yeah, like a really high quality Stanley mug or whatever. And then, my kids already have one. So it's going to end up at Goodwill or whatever, but somebody will at least want that thing, right? It's not
Right.
trash. I may
Right.
not
Right.
need another big, travel mug, but it is
Yeah.
actually a valuable thing. It wasn't because some things end up straight in the trash at the
Yep.
hotel,
Stress balls.
right?
Stress
Yeah,
balls come to
yeah,
mind.
yeah.
Shitty pens, things like
Although,
that.
so that's the other thing is do a little bit of, innovation. Like I would chuck a stress ball, but I have one right over here because it says Ruby on it, which was my grandma's name, and it's pink.
Okay.
So two,
Yeah.
and it's in the shape of a heart. So it's in my little display case here because my grandma's name was Ruby, and I'm all about
Right.
pink. They couldn't have known that, but there
No.
will be things, and so. The one that I like recently, it's the stress ball with all the little, it's like a fidget where it's got all the little
Yeah.
bumps on it that you can depress, and you're sitting there working on it, trying to get it to for them all to go in, and then you learn you can't physically do that. But that's an example. The first time I saw one of those, I was genuinely interested. I brought it home. I played with it. I talked about it. It got my attention because it was different. And I think you mentioned uniqueness. I think that's the biggest problem I see. I was literally on stage, like at a trade show kind of thing recently, and like 9 out of 10 booths were blue, dark blue. And I think there's too much of that. That's why I'm pink is like, look at what everybody's doing. And Stan and I teach this in Pink Goldfish and deliberately do the opposite. Not only don't do that, but I think that's too many people's instinct is like, huh, all right, yeah, I guess we're not going to get in trouble if we go dark blue.
It's yeah, it's
No
the
one's
George
also ever going to
Costanza.
see you, right? And they're not even
Yeah,
going to
it's
know how your company is different because it doesn't look any different. And then they don't get any farther than that. They didn't even see your
right.
booth because it blended in
Right.
to the one next to it.
It's the George Costanza method of making decisions. Every instinct you have is wrong.
It is
So do
wrong.
the opposite of that.
Well, it kind of
Um,
is, though. I mean, I talk to
it
nonprofits
is.
about this. They want to raise money, so they say, "What's everybody doing?" They're doing golf outings and 5Ks. Well, guess why you shouldn't do a golf outing and a 5K? Because everybody, I've literally been in rooms where they can't find a date for the 5K because there's no Saturday on the calendar where someone else isn't doing a 5K. And instead of that deterring them, they just start looking harder for a day to do a 5K instead of saying, "Nobody wants your stupid 5K. Find something different," right?
We have the same problem with regional associations in our industry. There's 25 of them all throughout the country, and they've all done Top Golf. And it's like, I don't want to go to Top Golf anymore. It's video game golf. It was
Yeah.
fun, but I'm kind of over it. So I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Last question. Let's talk speaking fails. Now, I'm about to
Yeah.
speak at the PPAI Expo, which is our big trade show in January. I spoke there last year, had a group of 400 people
Hmm.
and packed audience. Great, wonderful. It gave me a slide advancer that didn't work.
Yeah.
And then 5 minutes into my presentation, they gave me another one. Also didn't work for 15 minutes. And so there's pictures of me holding the slide advancer above my
Yeah.
head, and I just say,
Yeah.
please advance the slide.
Yeah.
It was horrible in every way. Something could be horrible. In fact, I have this. This is a badge somebody gave me afterwards that I wear when I do. It says advance the slide when I do a
Yeah.
presentation. What is your worst speaking fail you've ever had?
It just happened.
Oh
Um,
no!
yeah.
So it's fresh.
Yeah. And I'm not, it's not that I'm not taking responsibility, but there are some things that are beyond your control. I always
Yes,
bring a slide advancer. I always
me
bring my
too.
own laptop. I always test everything ahead of time, all those kinds of things. But it was at the NRG Center in Houston, which
Hmm.
is right next to the
Yep,
stadium where the Texans play. In
yep.
fact, they were going to be playing the next night on Thursday Night Football. And so half of it was closed off. It was almost impossible to get to. But the event was so big, and I won't say anything about the event because I don't want to badmouth the people, but they'd been having so much success that they had the biggest audience they'd ever had. And so they couldn't be upstairs in kind of the ballroom setting that was designed for this. They were downstairs in one of those, if you've ever been to one of these huge um, convention centers, like where you could
Oh yeah.
drive in a tractor trailer and it
Oh
still
yeah.
wouldn't be too big. You could
Right.
drive in huge construction equipment and it wouldn't touch the ceiling. Like that's what it was for. And concrete floors and metal walls and ceilings that, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 feet in the air. So we run a
Wow.
sound check. They say it sounds fine. Obviously, you don't know from the stage, but then you pack
Right.
900 people in there, and the sound just starts bouncing off of the walls. And I could tell it was going bad. People were streaming out of the room, which I never have. Literally, sometimes with breakouts, I have people coming to my room because they hear that it's good and they leave the one where theirs sucks.
Right.
But yet I'm seeing some people really paying attention and really into it. Plus, I know it's a good message. It's not a new talk. I know it's something that people like and then I'm signing books and doing selling books at the end. And I didn't know how bad it was until someone came up and said, well, I want to get the book because I wasn't able to hear a word you said.
Oh,
So forget slide advancer. If I don't have slides, I can still talk. But if you can't hear me,
right.
what am
Uh,
I supposed to do? So what happened was only some people could hear, mostly close to the stage, but also in pockets based on just acoustics. So
right.
then people would give up and either leave or start talking to each other. So the other
Yes.
feedback was, I couldn't hear you because all the people at my table were talking because they weren't trying to, because it was like nobody wants to be it's like if someone's a low talker, nobody wants to be, straining for an hour just to maybe hear the words the person's saying.
Yeah.
So, yeah, worst experience because it could have been 900 people. This is a
Yeah.
huge opportunity. Plus, I'm selling books. I sold way less books. I did sell books because, again, half the people managed to hear it. But when people can't hear you as a speaker, pretty significant issue. And I was so
That's,
pumped about how big the space was and how many people were going to be there. And
yeah.
talk about weakness and strength, and that turned out to be the Achilles heel of the place. Was
Yeah.
it was cool and it was big and it was too cool and it was too big and the
Too
ceilings were too
big.
high. Yeah, so
Yeah.
space really matters, and a lot of event planners don't know this. They're like, "Isn't this a cool big room?" But even just for energy transfer and communication,
Yeah.
think about a comedy club. There are always low ceilings. Everybody's
Yeah.
pushed together. Energy spreads in a room where people are fairly tightly packed, not uncomfortable, but
Right.
close. And so, anytime a room is bigger than the people that you have in there, it's a problem, even when it's just above or to the side or whatever. So that's my biggest speaker fail, and it just happened, a couple months ago.
Yeah, and I'm the same way, by the way. I always have my laptop, my slide advancer. I want to run off my computer, everything like
Yeah.
that. And this is one time they say because of the
Oh,
way the
sure.
union works, you can't do it. And I'm
That's
like,
right. I've done
okay.
that
And
before. They're like, it has to be on our
sure as
computer. It has to be our equipment. Yeah, yeah,
and I hate that with a passion. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
Dave, thanks so much. Before I go, let me thank our sponsor. Big thanks to our pals over at Seven Sourcing for sponsoring this platinum level broadcast. When you're ready to be the partner your clients want, the one that delivers unique, custom, and bespoke branded merchandise designed exclusively for them, reach out to Russ Mogel and his team at sales at sevensourcing.com. David, thank you so much for taking the time. It's always a joy to see you, and hopefully next time you come through Nashville, we can grab dinner again.
I do end up through there a lot because one of my big clients is called Technology Marketing Toolkit. They're the ones that I was doing the gala for, and they're in Franklin. So I fly into Nashville and through Nashville. In fact, I was just talking to the Tennessee Association of Home Care about speaking for them in May. I do want to fight back a little bit on platinum. I really feel like this was the rose gold level event. I think we want that pink medal
You know what?
as the
I,
level that
I,
we were
s-
at. I think today we stepped
I
it up a
quite
little bit.
literally, I quite literally stand corrected. Thank you so much, Dave.
All right, have a good one, Bill.